This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniel's, Crown Royal, Pickle Bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Great to be joined by an old friend, David Eckert. David, welcome back. It is great to hear you again, and appreciate all the great work you did up here for years.
I'm thrilled to be on, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. David, I've got to start. Let's get to Texas and Ohio State. Texas did a little bit more in the transfer portal. For the most part, I looked at last year's team because I knew Penn State could possibly play them. And I felt there was pretty much a developmental program with a few select transfers. It looks like they dipped in a little bit more this year. Why did Steve Sarkisian do that?
Yeah, I think the majority of their additions came at one position, and that's defensive line.
Yes.
Right? I think five of their 11 transfers are interior defensive linemen. They had a need there for two seasons in a row. They put their 2 starting defensive tackles into the NFL. So they just kind of felt like they had to restock the cupboard there. And, for the rest of the depth chart, I think they kind of treat it a little bit like Penn State does, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Let's where are the needs, right? They needed a tight end. I think their tight end room had 29 combined snaps of collegiate experience before they went and got Jack Andrews. He's going to start for them. They needed a kicker because their kicker left, So it's not like they're out here, doing the Lane Kiffin thing where that's just going to be their main method for acquiring players. But, they're smart with it. And when they do go get somebody, they tend to get top of the line guys. And I think they did that this offseason.
Yeah, again, like Penn State and Texas, very much the same. Very selective in the portal, but when they have needs, they go for it. Everyone wants to ask about Arch Manning. Arch Manning will not be able to do this himself. Right. What are some of the keys around him, David, that gives him a chance at success?
Yeah. For me, the biggest question is they're replacing 4 offensive linemen, 3 of whom are in the NFL right now. So
yes.
How's the offensive line going to hold up? At wide receiver, they have the guy who is kind of projected to be that number 1 guy is Ryan Wingo, who flashed as a freshman last year. They have DeAndre Moore, who is kind of like a blocking security blanket type wide receiver. And then a guy who Steve Sarkisian's really high on is Parker Livingstone, just a big guy who's going to be able to get some of those jump ball, deep balls that Arch likes to throw. And then they're really supported, I think, by one of the, I think Penn State has the best backfield in the country, but, Texas is probably a candidate for runner-up. Trey Wisner was a 1,000-yard rusher in the SEC last year. He comes back. They're getting C.J. Baxter back. After he had a really good freshman year, lost his sophomore season to a knee injury. He's coming back. So, I think their running game is going to be really important for them.
What does Manning's mobility mean to the offense, especially compared to what they have with Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything. especially, I think, in the red zone, which has been a real problem for them last year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It really just the last couple of years. You look at how their season died last year. They had 2nd and 1 in the semifinals of the college football playoff from the goal line to go, try to tie the game in the fourth quarter. They lost 7 yards on a pitch, and they ended up turning the ball over. So, when you have a quarterback who's mobile in the red zone, that changes the calculus, right? You have to account for him. You're defending against 11 instead of 10. So I think that's going to be really important. And just, generally the other things that mobile quarterbacks do. They sometimes make you keep a guy in spy instead of rushing or sending him on coverage. They extend plays, which, depending on how this offensive line works out, might be important. So I don't think Arch wants to, be out there. I don't think that's going to be the main way that he succeeds. I think they want to protect him a little bit. Yes. But certainly that's going to be an asset for them, especially in the red zone.
Right, and Jack Ham and I have talked about this all the time. When you have a mobile quarterback, especially in the red zone, you have to account for him. It's as simple as that. Defensively, I thought for the most part, Texas played really, really good defense last year. What does Steve Sarkisian have back on that side of the ball that can be a difference maker, especially going on the road like this at Ohio State?
Yeah, I think they've got probably 2 of the 5 best defensive players in college football. Yeah. Anthony Hill, I think, is probably the best linebacker in the country. Yeah. And then on the edge, they've got Colin Simmons, who, as a true freshman last year, he had a better pressure rate than 7 of the 8 guys who were picked in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft last year. So he's just a freak. He's going to play more this year. I think he's just going to be outstanding. And then in the secondary, they returned Michael Taft, who's kind of their really quarterback. That's really important. So I think they're, again, positioned to just be elite on the defensive side of the ball.
How have the other players handled being asked about Arch Manning all the time? Look, he's a great teammate. They're great teammates to him. But you know how it goes. Everybody keeps asking about him all the time. How have they handled it?
I think they've handled it well, and I think that's because Arch makes it clear to them and frankly to us that, this is annoying to him.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want to put up with it, and so I think when that's what you portray outwardly to your teammates, it's easier for them to take, right? Because, they know that you're not reveling in all this attention. They know that you're not trying to take the spotlight away from them. It's just kind of something that he's had to deal with since he was in high school. He's gotten really good at dealing with it. And, everybody's really said all of the right things so far.
What about going into Ohio State? Look, they may be, quote, the defending national champion, but it's a different team in so many ways than last year. What's the thought process about going into the shoe?
Yeah, you said it, right? It's just, and really it's 2 different teams. Texas couldn't be more different either. So,
right.
I think Texas always wants to play. They're kind of the anti-James Franklin. They want to play big-time non-conference games. They're always going to have one on their schedule. And, I think that there's an expectation that at the University of Texas, this is kind of just what you go do, and it's a little bit regular. Whether or not they expect to win, I couldn't tell you, but I do think that it's just kind of hey, this is normal. This is what the football team at the University of Texas does. That's how they're trying to pitch it to themselves. We'll see if it kind of pays off for them.
With that said, the SEC will go to 9 conference games next year, and they're still going to be required to play a Power 4 among the 3 non-cons. I would assume that Texas was one of those that was gung-ho behind that.
Yeah, because Texas is going to do it anyway. You know, so if Texas Texas wanted the 9 games because they play a neutral site game with Oklahoma every year. And so if you can take the neutral site game, you can evenly have 4 home games and 4 road games every year instead of sometimes having 3 and 4,
right,
depending on where that game's aligned. But yeah, I mean, and then keeping that Power 5 component to the non-conference schedule, I think Texas is going to go play those games anyway. So if you're Chris Del Conte, the athletic director here, certainly I think you'd push to keep that requirement because you kind of want your peers on the same level.
Look, this has been an interesting period of 10 years. Charlie Strong, Tom Herman, and even early with Steve Sarkisian. How does the fan base, how much more do you think the fan base appreciates the winning part of it because there's a period of time where the wins weren't as common?
I think you nailed it. I think they really do. I saw somebody post the other day. It was like, I can't believe that we're at the point where if Texas has a 9-win season, I'm going to be disappointed. Right. Because the wilderness was so thick. I mean, I remember covering Penn State games, sitting there in the press box laughing at them losing to Maryland.
Right. Back to back.
Yeah.
They lost them twice.
Yeah. Yep. Laughing at them losing to Kansas. I mean, it just they were, for lack of a better word, kind of an embarrassment. And certainly they are the polar opposite of that now. And having known what it feels like to be down in those depths, I do think, they really appreciate Steve Sarkisian and what he's been able to do here.
Has it been, I think you get 4,000 tickets for a game like this. Has this been a hot ticket for people to try to get a hold of in Austin to go up to Columbus?
Yeah, I think so. And, it's doing the typical, it's going to just be hundreds of dollars, just get in the gate type of thing. I mean, so I think it's safe to say that they're excited about this one.
They should be. It's fun. What a great opener. Right out of the gate. I think it may have almost everybody's interest. All right. I mean, even Corso's going to be there for one final time. All right. David, it was an absolute pleasure. And again, I think Penn State fans really appreciate all the great work that you did for years here. And it's great to have you back on the show.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Thank you. David Eckert, great to have him back on the show, covering Texas Longhorn football. They will take on Ohio State Saturday, big noon kickoff, which is extremely popular with fans. No. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Nothing. Nada. Zilch. That's what you'll pay this summer to drive a brand new Kia from Sunbury Motors Kia.
Wanna see you in a Kia.
right. Get 0% APR financing for 48 months on 2025 Kia Sportages, Kia's most popular model. Plus, get 0.9% APR financing for 48 months on 2025 all-wheel drive Kia Sportage hybrids. They get up to 38 mpg. SMC also has 1.9% APR financing for 48 months on the all-wheel drive, brand new, refresh-styled 2026 Kia Sportage LX, starting at just over $32,000. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Nothing, nada, zilch, with as low as 0% APR financing at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip at Hummel's Wharf and at sunburymotorskia.com.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.
Great to have you with us on the show today. Boy, the Mets beat the Phillies again. A 4-game advantage here.
There are some people that got some broom emojis from me last night. I'm not ashamed to admit.
I mean, that's 10 times in a row that they have won the Mets over the Phillies at Citi Field. How about that? Rob Refsnyder's homered. Red Sox lead the Orioles 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th at Camden Yards. So, yeah. But, yeah, 10 in a row. Mercy me.
Yeah, that's always been a place of horrors for the Phillies.
Yeah.
I think somebody said when they went to the World Series 2 years ago, they were 7-19 or something like that against the Mets that year.
Well, this is.
I just like to watch the Phillies fans on the roller coaster ride. They were so high going into this Mets series, and now, the world's coming to an end now.
See, I think the Phillies are a really good team. I felt with Wheeler they had a chance to win the whole thing. All right. Now I think it's more wide open because he's not there. But you can be high on your team going into it, but to lose a critical guy like that, not just an important guy, a critical guy to what you're doing. And to me, that's if you're a Phillies fan, you have to have some concern. Right? You have to have some concern.
Oh, I get you have to have some concern, but we're back at the sky is falling now.
Oh, okay. So we've gone back to that. The sky is falling?
Yeah, the sky is falling because they lost those 3. It's like, it's like watching the Yankees fans all excited because they're beating up on the Nationals.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I think I saw last night that the Nationals threw 77 pitches in that 9-run third.
Oh.
And it's the most pitches that they can find since they started counting pitches like that in one
brutal.
single half inning. I think one of the guys that used to cover the Rockies said a Rockies guy once threw a complete game in 77 pitches. And the lowest they found for Maddox was 78.
He throws a 78-pitch complete game. The Nationals throw 77 pitches in a 9-run inning.
Yes.
Hi. Brutal. But see,
that explains why they were talking about damn Yankees yesterday during the game.
But see, this is okay. But I'll tell you, this is where I broadcast a lot of baseball. It's a lower level. We all know that. Okay, but it's common in baseball throughout. I don't understand why more people don't have a Greg Maddux mindset. And I know Maddux has great stuff. Okay, great stuff, okay? But every single time I watch, and I've said this on our broadcasts, 0-2 pitch. What's the pitcher going to throw?
Waste.
Yep. And guess what? How many times do you see people chase waste pitches? I mean, I'm talking about at this level. I see nobody chasing waste pitches. Right? Just attack them. Make them go after it. Nobody's chasing that pitch. And it happens in the majors all the time. 0-2 count, I'm going to waste a pitch. You're going to waste a pitch? If you're going to waste a pitch, have something that's going down in the zone that has some downward action to it, not something that's outside and then Maddox didn't throw waste pitches. He didn't throw waste pitches. He just kept attacking the entire time. Now his stuff was superior. I get that, but hey, I see this stuff and I shake my head and say I don't get it.
It is amazing. They always talk about saving their bullpens, and that guy that doesn't throw the hardest but can get through a game with with the minimal damage at 78 pitches seems would be priceless right now.
Yeah, I know. But and of course, what does a waste pitch mean? That means that's another pitch on your pitch count. Yeah.
There was an interesting article piggybacked off the Little League World Series. I think it was the beginning of this week on The Athletic about parents knowing right now what throwing as hard as you can do to a kid's arm, but also balancing that the college scouts and the college coaches and the major league coaches or scouts are the only thing they're looking for right now is velocity.
They're looking for velocity and they're looking for spin rate. Spin rate they've got horizontal, vertical on there too. So they're looking for velocity, spin rate, which then equates to movement of the baseball. That's what they're looking at. Which is, as you well know, the two worst thing for a young kid's arm. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's okay to pitch. There's a big difference between a thrower and a pitcher. And we've seen some great throwers early in their career. Nolan Ryan was a great thrower. Sandy Koufax was a great thrower. But they both became Hall of Famers when they transitioned from throwers to pitchers.
We used to have a guy that coached around here that was very successful in Little League, and the only other pitch besides a fastball he taught the kids how to throw was a circle change.
Yeah.
So all they did was change speeds. And guess what? You're pretty darn successful at a 12-year-old without a curveball if you change speeds.
Right. And the circle change was the Tom Glavine pitch. Tom Glavine, his circle change was as good as anybody's. And again,
actually, this guy's old enough. It was Frank Viola, but point taken.
Right. But yeah, but for Glavine, that circle, And what did Viola and Glavine both do? They kept pitching and pitching and pitching. They weren't on the IL, DLs for any extended period of time.
Look up Frank Viola versus Ron Dollar in college.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. They were the two starters in Yale and St. John's, I think, played 26 innings, and they both pitched into the extra innings.
Jeez. It's like that great Juan Marichal, Warren Spahn matchup. The two guys with the gigantic high leg kicks. They went 16 innings. They both threw complete games. 16 innings now for some starting pitchers in the majors is a month.
I was going to say, that's 3 starts.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory, and great treatment by the great sales staff. They're really, really great. And pre-owned inventory, you have plenty of it on the lot, and they go over each one of them. That way, it eases your buying experience. And the service department, quick lane inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all. It's one-stop vehicle shopping. It's all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Well, the Yankees can beat the Nationals. I guess that's pretty much the only thing we take from what happened.
I guess at this point, at least they swept a team that they should sweep this time around. Now we'll see what happens here as they go take on the White Sox in a 4-game series.
Yes. Well, the last 4-game series the Yankees played didn't go so well.
Yeah, not great.
Not great.
It's not been great against the division all year. It's been atrocious.
So can Judge pitch? I mean, Ohtani can.
I noticed. He's getting there, but he's still not quite fully given the full go. But maybe, I don't know.
Will Sam Howell beat out Jalen Hurts?
Listen, if Sam Howell is in the game, hopefully it's because the Eagles are up 40-6, like they were in the Super Bowl, and not because you had Hurts and Tanner McKee get hurt.
Well, just so everybody knows, McKee has a finger injury. That's why they made the deal. It was not to replace Tanner McKee, to make Tanner third on the depth chart. It's because he's not available right now to be the 2. So that's the reason behind the deal.
Correct.
So
and
knows.
It's a good move by Howie Roseman, as was really all 3 trades that he made the other day, including getting Fred Johnson back from Jacksonville. That was really some good stuff because that really bolsters the depth at 2 areas that maybe looked a little shaky during the preseason.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes for them. My opinion, I think the Eagles win the division, but they have fewer wins than they had last year.
Oh, yeah. I think I said last week on the show, I see 11 to 12 wins right now for the Eagles.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think Washington, first of all, they'll probably sweep the Giants, but the Giants are better. The Commanders, they struggled with sweeping them to begin with before they got more talent. And I think Dallas is the weakest team in the division. And that's saying something because the Giants weren't very good last year.
Oh, yeah. I also said on the show a couple of weeks ago, I think that Dallas is going to be dead last in the NFC East this year. Now, I don't think they're going to be like a 2 to 3 win team. I just think it'll be them and the Giants, kind of like neck and neck as like 7-ish win teams, but maybe the Giants have some sort of tiebreaker that puts them over the top. Because I think the Giants are going to be a better team, but overall, as far as the Eagles are concerned, facing the East this year, I think they're going to be at worst 4-2 in the division. I can see 1 or 2 losses where they probably sweep the Giants. I think they're going to sweep the Giants or the Cowboys. I actually could see the Eagles maybe splitting with the Giants, and the game they lose, I think, could be the Thursday night game on the road at MetLife because, for one, Jalen Hurts, for some reason, hasn't played well at MetLife in his career, and it's a Thursday night short week. I get it's only a short bus ride up 95, but I could see that maybe as a loss, but at worst 4-2. At worst 4-2, and I think that either way they're going to sweep. They're going to split with the Commanders, but it's hard to say at that point how this is going to go because they're 2 out of the last 3 games of the regular season, and you're not sure where both teams are going to be at that point.
So how revved up are you for a week from tonight?
I'm very revved up. I'm a little bit nervous because of some pieces on defense that I need to see really perform, and that is the depth of the defensive line and how the secondary shapes out, especially on the opposite side of Quinyon Mitchell and the safety spot opposite of Reed Blankenship. I think Eagle fans need to brace themselves to see the Eagles give up a lot of big plays early, and then they'll tighten things up. Like I said, I won't be surprised if the Eagles struggle out of the gate like they did last year. So it's a tough 4-game start to the season. But I do think, regardless of where they're at on those two spots, I think the Eagles beat Dallas anywhere from 7 to 17 points because it seems like Micah Parsons, if he does play, it's not going to be a whole lot, and that should really favor the Eagles. And I just think there's just too much going on off the field right now with Dallas to begin the season. So the Eagles have to take advantage and win this one at home because then those next 3 games are really, really tough.
So you get nervous?
I would say I'm 80% confident to 20% nervous for Dallas next week. How about that?
You're not a participant.
I know, but they're still my team. I'm still a fan. It's just my nature. But I'm 100% revved up for next week. I can't wait. I saw the picture of the banner waiting to be unveiled for the second Super Bowl banner, so I was excited to see that. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Todd, when your teams play, do you get nervous?
Not anymore.
I know.
Super Bowl.
Except neither do I.
It was 45-10 the first one, so I wasn't that nervous.
Yeah.
Running
exactly.
Marshawn Lynch in the 4th and goal made me nervous.
Yeah.
I think right after the Peyton Manning safety with the ball over his head, I think you could have relaxed right after that.
I did. I had several frosty beverages and celebrated.
There you go.
Game was a disaster.
Wow. I was just going to say, the second one, my daughter, the Super Bowl, I think was like February 2nd that year. My daughter was born the 14th. So when they threw the pass on 4th and goal and it was picked off, I couldn't make a noise because my wife was dead asleep, 9 months pregnant, and I didn't feel it was right to wake her up.
That's probably a good move on your part because that would have been a double whammy.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. He would have screamed.
And Steve is probably right about that, yeah.
Could you imagine if you caused her premature labor, Matt? She'd beat you.
Actually, you know what? I think she would find it funny, and she probably would welcome it because she's ready right about now.
First of all, she's about as nice as it gets. So, look what she's got to put up with. Oh, Lord, he's got 4 kids, 3 that are young.
Correct.
All males.
Yeah.
I did just shed a tear for the poor woman.
Oh, it's brutal, right? He's out there screaming at them as they can't hit the ball off a tee.
No, actually, we're getting Mark really is the one that's excelled. Mark's is really solid. He's ready for T-ball next year.
So basically, you're saying you're extremely disappointed in the other 2.
Well, Luke, I think it's that ship has sailed because he has other interests. But John Paul, we're still waiting on a little bit.
He talks now, right?
Here and there.
Like gibberish.
So we're still working on that a little bit.
Like some gibberish.
Because he can or he can't get a word in edgewise?
Both reasons, in fact.
So, what's your game this week?
We've got Mifflinburg at Danville this week, which is going to be a very interesting game. Mifflinburg has a lot of high expectations coming into this year, a lot of pieces back from their strong finish to last season, a lot of firepower on offense. Danville coming off another big year where they went to the state semis, but they've lost some guys, including their quarterback, Matt and Patrick. They got a quarterback competition now. Looks like maybe they might try to name a starter during pregame. But we'll see how long that goes, depending on how the game goes. So there's a lot of question marks with Danville, and they're coming off a tough loss to Bloomsburg last week, who's kind of a sleeper team on everybody's radar, including myself and Todd. So it should be interesting tomorrow. I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams tomorrow night.
That's the game you have too, right, Todd?
Correct.
Oh, good. Well, a good opportunity. Maybe you can be on the pregame show.
Tom was already on my show 2 weeks ago to preview the football season. He's on often on my show.
I also like to roll in about 6:45 and walk down onto the field to avoid those questions.
Yeah, we're there way long before that.
I know.
Yeah, late. I mean, so is there a game on your TV schedule you're looking forward to above all?
Oh, 2 weeks from now, Jersey Shore at Shamokin, rematch from last year's crazy game in the district title game that Shamokin won. Oh, hands down, that has been circled on my calendar. No question. That's 2 weeks from now on the 12th.
That's at Shamokin?
That's at Shamokin at Kent Memorial Stadium, just like last year.
Wow, because we all know how the suit is not exactly revered in Jersey Shore.
At Thompson Street Stadium, you're correct. We would not make the trip out there if it were out that far. We'd probably choose another game, but it's at Kent Memorial Stadium, so that's 2 weeks. I'm very excited about that.
I'm not sure you could televise from Thompson Street Stadium, to be honest.
Yeah, most likely not. We'd have a lot of hurdles to overcome, most likely.
I'm not even sure there's enough room for you to put cameras on the other side, to be honest.
Point blank, right there. Yeah.
Right, so it's just a very small, limited press box, or?
Well, it's a small, limited press box.
Small, very, very old.
And it's also built in right into the middle of the town. Yes. So it's the visitor side. There's not a lot of room on the sidelines, and the press box is right against the property line, so there's no room to spread out at all either.
So for the most part, are you on the same side as the press box, or are there times where you have to broadcast from the other side?
In most cases, we are on the home side. In most cases, but there's some cases where we're on the other side, but there is a press box. It just depends on each stadium. Actually, Shamokin's a perfect example of that, where there's two press boxes on either side, but we're on the away side at Shamokin because the home side is packed with all their game day staff and other people, and they save the other side for TV and radio and visiting coaches to go. So that's probably one example. We're on the visitor side, but most times we're on the home side because that's where the press box is, at least for football. Soccer and field hockey, it just depends on the school and what their setup is.
Right, yeah. I was just wondering, what you guys get. What does it take for you in getting ready? How much cooperation do you get from the coaches in terms of depth charts and things like that?
They're usually pretty good, I have to say. I'm always very very happy with it and always appreciative of the coach's time. I usually take about a good 40 or so minutes on the phone each week to get starters and also who's going to come into the game, to create a depth chart as well, and then I get some keys to the game from them. I got other notes about the players, usually stats as well. They usually have updated on a site like Max Preps and things like that. Are usually pretty good at getting them to me. So it's usually through a big conference call I do with each coach where I get everything that I need, and they're usually pretty good.
Okay, good. And based on last week's broadcast, John Paul's your spotter?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, that explains a couple things. One of these days, you probably will get those kids up there spotting for you.
Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah. So the other day, I think people pretty much know. Well, maybe they assume I don't have a spotter. Okay. But Ron Moeller, Jack's friend, is up in the booth, but he's sitting in the corner, so he's and at the Duquesne Club on Tuesday, I brought Ron's pass with me. So I told Jack, I said, check this out. I said, when he introduces us, I said, I'm going to give him his pass. He says, okay. So Ron makes the introduction. We stand up. And I said, Ron, I have something for you. This is an emotional moment, everybody, for all of you, I'm sure. I said, but Ron, and he had a piece of paper where Ron had his notes on it, so I picked up the paper. I said, Ron, I want to present you this press pass for the upcoming season. I said, I looked out at the paper and said, for your incredible and considerable contributions to the Penn State Sports Network. People applauded, some laughed. I looked over and I said, you misspelled considerable. It's good. The other night on the baseball broadcast, you'll love this one. We're in, I don't know, like the 7th inning. And I said, hey, I want to just a shout out to a long-time listener to our broadcast, Aaron Boone from New York City. Aaron says he listens to us at work.
Oh, really? Well, that explains a lot more about him.
Your guy.
That certainly explains a lot more, doesn't it?
Your guy.
For how long, we'll find out.
Oh, you'd have fired him years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would have.
And you would have replaced him with?
Joe Girardi. I would have brought him back because he should have been fired in the first place.
Wow. Joe Girardi, huh?
Oh, yeah. I would love to see the Yankees bring him back if he's interested.
What do you think, Todd? Great move, huh?
Hey, when you can get the ex-Marlins manager, you have to go for broke, baby.
Ex-Marlins manager.
Oh, man.
That's one time the Marlins, I was at PNC Park, and the Pirates were playing the Marlins. And I was up in a box, and I was sitting with some people, and I pointed down to the Marlins dugout because the visiting dugout's on the first base side. And I said, see that guy down there? I said, that's the Marlins' best hitter. They said, who? I said, oh, really? Who is that? I said, Don Mattingly, the manager.
I remember that story.
Well, you have a great broadcast this week, and try to get John Paul to understand the names with the numbers, okay?
I will work on that for next week.
Because basically it sounds to me like Mark's the only one of the group that's going anywhere.
In terms of sports, yeah, no question. Mark's ready to take my job right now. He already has stuff memorized that I say on my show and when I broadcast games, so he's ready right now to take my spot. And he just turned 4. Oh, he is 4, I should say. Not just turned 4. He turned 4 in June.
Daddy has a favorite. Daddy has a favorite. We're just going to go through this whole thing now. We're just going to watch these other 2 kids just fade away. All right. Thank God for their mom. She loves them all equally. All right.
And you have a great first broadcast, too, my friend.
They point me toward the field. I'll talk. We'll be fine. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week.
By the way, on the coaches show tonight, the first one of the season, Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics, Pat Kraft, in the first half hour, James Franklin, second half hour. We'll wrap it up in a moment. Brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.